Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is to go into a little bit more in depth in terms of understanding what is a covert narcissist like. A lot of people then, and I know a lot of our viewers feel who have experienced this, that this is even more insidious and painful and difficult to heal from rather than an overt narcissist, someone who, is just all about their self-interest and all about them benefiting and them being on the top of the heap and them being the best. I mean, some people are just, vagrantly out there. But when we're talking about a covert narcissist, we're talking about something that is sort of not consciously acknowledged and validated, something that is unseen, something that is hidden, something that you can't really point a finger at, but is ongoing, particularly that of neglect or withdrawing of attention. In other words, I won't love you, I won't talk to you, I won't go unless you do this. And just sort of those insinuations, the withdrawing or withholding of attention and affection, stonewalling or having the silent treatment, walking by you as if you don't exist, not taking a moment to respond to your question. You might be yelling through the house and they just ignore you. And then there's this then exasperated where then their tone of voice is changing, and they will use the tone of their voice in order to manipulate and oftentimes intimidate through a quiet sort of withholding or the change of their tone, how they move. They might become very robotic. They might change their, how they're doing their everyday routine when they're out. If you've lived with this person, and you find that if usually the door is open, now the door is closed. Usually they're upstairs, now they're downstairs or in the garage. Usually they're home, now they're out. So there's this covert sort of withdrawing, and that you then leads to this sort of questioning, but then not wanting to question, and so it becomes what is known as sort of covert narcissism. And so the effects, though, are a feeling of loss, feeling that you've missed something, feeling that you didn't receive something in the relationship. Oftentimes it's difficult to put a finger on or articulate it, but it's important then to kind of compare it to what is healthy, what is functioning, what is resultant of sort of the flow in relationships, and how is that a different feel, a different experience. The covert narcissist just sort of will be very aloof, meaning not really available. You hear about the person who's not emotionally available. Covert narcissist, not emotionally available, not there for you, not to listen, not, they don't have the time, they don't have the place. It's just they're checked out. They're not available. They're gone. They've hit the highway. Their phone doesn't work. Or they just, say they can't do things. I just can't do it. I'm not that type of person. They just sort of get themselves off the hook. Especially in family dynamics, family patterns, there can be covert narcissists who just will then find themselves as a match with someone who is very high energy, doing everything and not getting any credit for it. And that is, I think, a real sore spot with covert narcissism, is that other people then around them have to pick up the slack, pick up the agenda, pick up the do the do, whatever it is, and then meanwhile they don't have to address, they don't have to be accountable, they don't have to be emotionally available, they just to do their thing and remain self-absorbed. They never have to get out of their own way, and so other people will then, either find themselves, we have a lot of viewers who ask, what happens, how does a relationship work with them? Can it work? Well, if you, can then work, double time, if you can go without, if you don't need sort of the closeness, or you don't need the guidance, or you don't need the affection, or you don't need the eye contact, or you don't need the conversation, and you want to live like as strangers, then that's up to you. I mean, that's resultant that if, eventually that covert narcissist is harboring a lot of feelings, opinions, emotions, and thoughts that aren't communicated. And yet, they might come to the surface, and then all of a sudden you find this person's asking for a divorce. Where did this come from? Or you find that they have an affair, or you thought that they were paying the mortgage and the mortgage is in foreclosure. What happened? What happened here? Things are not communicated. Covert narcissist. It's not only what they're not giving, it's what they're not communicating, and they tend to sort of either kind of lock themselves away or cloister themselves away in relationships, in families, and not communicate where their communication would be valued, important, helpful, positive. They just don't go out of their way. And so, whether you want to say it's lazy, however you want to describe it, it's problematic for a lot of people in a relationship with a covert narcissist. A lot of people are drawn to it because they feel that, they have a lot of space in the relationship, a lot of freedom. But then, that also might result in, you not getting what you need and what you deserve. So you have to be the best judge of that, and knowing if you are, receiving your needs, or if this person is just too absent. They're not, stepping up to be your match or your equal, or if they're just not able. And so the neglect can leave people in a state of sort of helplessness, or a state of being not attended to, and then resulting social anxiety. If you don't, it's kind of like a use it or lose it. If you don't use your ability to communicate, if you don't use your ability, to do specific things, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So the same as with communication, with cooking, with all sorts of different things. If you don't use and apply and keep up and maintain and enforce, it's going to become, it's just not going to become in your life. It's not going to result. It's not going to manifest. It's not going to be in the field of your experience, because you've lost track, or you haven't attended, you haven't followed through. And so this can very much, happen with a relationship with a covert narcissist, where things are just overlooked, passed over, not attended to, not dealt with, and then it becomes this big mountain of procrastination, or, confrontation. It becomes, a real mountain when it could have just been a mogul. And the feeling of neglect oftentimes then results in a lot of emotional pain and hurt that then people will carry and not really know why. They can't put their finger on it. I think that's one of the important things that we need to get, that coming to the surface. A lot of people suffer with the subconscious hurts that they don't quite know. So you have to understand the cause that's created this effect, so you can release it and let it go, so it doesn't continue to hamper or hinder or sabotage your life and moving forward, and your ability to, envision and achieve and accomplish what it is you truly want. And so the covert is really, hidden. It's not seen. It's difficult to articulate, yet it lives very real within the people who are the supply source to the covert narcissist. So really, it becomes important then that you can then just sort of back up and back away from those patterns of thought and then emotions that fuel those patterns, and keep you sort of, feeling too passive, too apathetic. I think a lot of people then don't believe in themselves if they've been very close with a covert narcissist, because all they're focusing in is, well, how do I get out of this person what they need? So always talking about them or taking care of them, always being other focused and people pleasing, rather than say, hey, I matter. Look at me. People, with relationships with covert narcissists, I feel they, a lot of our viewers here, they develop a lot of social anxiety. They're afraid to stand up for themselves. They don't have a good, strong sense of themselves. They haven't used their communication. Maybe they're afraid of eye contact. They're afraid of getting a hug because they haven't had affection for so long, and they feel very weak. They feel that their strength is not within them. They don't feel confident. And oftentimes I feel this is a result of being in a relationship where you haven't been able to exercise yourself, your desires, your thoughts, your communication skills, your vocabulary, being able to enjoy things, movies, documentaries, walks, nature, being able to surround yourself with what's going to bring balance and harmony, like we see in nature, being able to take those in and have those fill you up. Oftentimes people, if they've been with a covert narcissist, it's very difficult to take action because it has to be a different sort of action where they feel different and they have boundaries and standards that they can enforce and then keep people accountable for, namely their own selves accountable. Where, saying if this and this happens, well, I'm going to put value over here rather than, putting value where I'm not getting anything in return. And I don't have to people please. I can value myself. And then you'll find that then you're attracting what you want in your life and it's actually manifesting because you've gotten out of that fight or flight that ensues with a relationship with a covert narcissist, because oftentimes it's formless. It just seems to, it doesn't have any end until you sort of put some boundaries and some standards on your relationship, because they'll continue to take, they'll continue to allow this relationship pattern that is unhealthy for you. They'll allow it to continue and fester. So you have to be the one to stand up within yourself and say, okay, I'm going to stand up for myself now. I believe, I want, I trust, I am, and I'm going. And you're just, begin to make the gradual changes and have the communication, be able to practice standing up for yourself and being assertive rather than being docile, and being okay with not with the outcome, detaching from the outcome so you can offer yourself an opportunity for some self-confidence. If you're too worried about the outcome, then you're going to just stall yourself. You're just going to procrastinate yourself. You're not going to go for the do. You're not going to do the do. You're not going to actualize your vision. Even if it's something small, like I'm just going to fix this. I'm going to go for a walk there. I'm going to go to, this movie. I'm going to start this project. A lot of people don't even start their bucket list. Maybe you want to go to Hawaii, and somehow, you're at this time in your life, you're not there yet. Why don't you begin to research? Maybe you wanted to read and learn another language. All these different things that, become too passive and never actualized and realized when you're in this relationship where you're always other focused. It can become a real habit. So you have to break that habit of being focused on the other as the only, which can ensue and be really habituated and rememorized when you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, because you have to be the one to say, hey, because they're oftentimes, not going to validate you. They're not going to validate your feelings. There's that lack of empathy. So there's a feeling of, that a lack of emotional intimacy. And you can still have it, but you have to start acknowledging and validating the divine sort of calling within you. What are you being called to do? What are you being called to feel? What are you being called to go? What are you being called to see? And then go for it. Begin to support and back yourself up. If you're not backing yourself up, why aren't I backing myself up? Ask yourself the question. Why aren't I doing this? And then you'll be able to release that block that's holding you back. And oftentimes you think it's a big wall when it's really just a negative thought. And thoughts are things. Thoughts can be like a rope that keeps you stuck, or thoughts can be like an opening, to a better life. It's up to you. You really need to understand the power of your mind, and that you have this at your fingertips, and your command is just getting a little bit more familiar and allowing yourself to follow that. Once you exit out of that fight or flight, you're in a better position to be able to do it and to have and become, and then have your I am and your identity improve. So you then become immune to the narcissist, and you're not attracting those types anymore. They don't appear attractive. You're no longer an energetic match to what is not good for you, and that is okay. That is important. And a lot of people, they want to hold on to that trauma bond. They just want to hold on. And so little by little, begin to loosen your grip. What can you do? Can you shake it out like this? Can you wiggle your body? Shake out the trauma bond. Breathe through it. I'm releasing and letting it go, and all is well. I'm releasing and letting it go in divine order. All is well. Divine order is working, and all is well. I'm letting it go, and they are well. All is good. Being able to give them a vision of that, to release that, realize and get a vision that they are okay, and you are okay, and that there's nothing more that needs to be, resolved. You're not responsible for their evolution. You're responsible for your evolution and the greater society where you are a part of. And so to go out there, it'll help to enlarge your world and enlarge your sense of self. And you don't have to, you might need to nudge yourself in the beginning to get it going, but eventually it'll take up speed and momentum, and then you live on auto-suggestion, which means your body will just begin to flow into the new habit. You'll automatically go to the gym. You'll automatically pick up the good healthy stuff at the grocery store. You're not attracted to the junk. You're not attracted to the junk people. You're not attracted to the junk thoughts. You're able to say, nope, junk thought, out, junk thought, nope, and get power. And a lot of people don't realize that you have this power, or they're so afraid that things could change and get really good that they don't even want to begin. Begin. One little step. It can be on a whole new earth for you. It can be very exciting. Allow. And then just get the vision in your mind. The covert narcissist, they are okay. They're fine. They're evolving, and divine love has them in the palm of their hand, and all is well. Allow divine love to assist and support them, and allow that to be enough, and allow it to be enough for you too, because oftentimes in that dynamic, people don't give enough credit to themselves. They're not used to that. They're not used to getting credit. They're not used to receiving compliments. They're not used to, having positive attention. It gets scary. Somebody loves me, OMG. Somebody complimented me. Wow, I don't think I can maintain this. A lot of people have a fear of success or a feel of failure once to make that change. So release that fear. When the fear comes up, speak, I say release. Fear comes up, release. Fear comes up, release. Fear comes up, release. And it'll make space for strength. And then you can then just reaffirm. You need to develop a new thought pattern to instill new emotions. So your emotions can then help your thoughts, and it can be a positive cycle. You might need to do some astralmations. I call them astralmations because when you make them, you're speaking them out into the universe at large. You're not just right here in front of your own nose. You are proclaiming it as so. You are making a commitment. You are making a command. You're speaking to the subconscious, where all the power is, that unseen, which is responsible for the creation. You're getting into that deep level, and you're saying, I am strong. I am secure. I am inspired. I am energized. I am complete. I am whole. I am magnificent. I am part of divine order. The divinity runs through me, and so it is. And I acknowledge and validate and embrace this. And if you can acknowledge and validate and embrace the divine running through you, begin to acknowledge and validate that. If you don't believe that, then that can be part of your trauma bond, keeping you stuck and not allowing you to break free and liberate and breathe easy. Allow it to be. But, I think for a lot of people, they need to sort of put the narcissist to bed. They need to put that whole relationship and let it just be in dreamland. Allow it to be, and then also know, because a lot of people have empathy, that they only wanted the best for this person and they still feel so miserable, only wish them the best. Wish them the best that life has to offer. Send them love, send them positive energy, send them the strength, and send it in forgiveness, and allow yourself to be released and, from the guilt and the forgiveness that you deserve, and forgive yourself, and just, and apologize and release and let go. And so it is. And this is how the divine wants it for me, because that is your truth. And once you are in line with that, you'll feel more of the excitement, more energy, and you'll begin to sort of get that indulgence. And I talk about resensitizing yourself along with those astramations, your proclamations, spoken with assertiveness and confidence and belief. I am. And just 100% I am. I deserve. I am inspired. I am passionate. I am joyful. I am content. I am wondrous. I am connected to the sublime, and the sublime speaks to me, and I receive its messages, and I thank for the messages, and I will pay attention to the larger messages that the universe is sending me. So I will acknowledge and validate and increase more of that presence and that in my life. So once you're able to do that, you'll be able to let go. But the covert narcissist, that's, they might leave that emptiness within. So to fill it up, oftentimes releasing them in love and light, and to also release yourself in love and light, and to make things fair, just, equal, and give yourself that affirmation. I call them astramations. And then you can go on your recovery date in that same energy, supporting yourself, backing yourself up. This is very important that you hit it from all angles, so it'll resonate and live within you. Literally, you'll have and feel a new life within you. And keeping it enforced, getting your appointment book, getting a calendar, writing your moments down. In other words, where I'm just going to explore curiosity for 2 hours on my recovery date. I'm going to focus on the feeling of curiosity, and I'm going to go out and learn, or I'm going to go out and, indulge my senses, and I'm just going to learn to listen to a symphony. I'm going to go and take myself to a concert, and I'm going to just feed myself maybe, singing bowl meditation. I'm going to nourish my senses. And acknowledging and validating that need, and then satisfying that need, will give you that experience of empowerment as well. And so this is just a little bit about the resultant effects of a covert narcissist, and then how to manage. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please join the Peace and Harmony membership. We've got that here for you now, where we go into more of the tools, the in-depth inner workings, so to keep you accountable and to break through and shift that energy so you can get really what you've been wanting but haven't had fulfillment of. Have a beautiful day.